On Christmas Eve, 1945, the Sodder family's home in West Virginia burned to the ground. 5 of their 10 children were never seen again. Their bodies were never found. And almost 80 years later, no one can agree on what really happened that night. The official story begins shortly after 1 in the morning. A fire breaks out, and within minutes, the entire wooden house is engulfed in flames. George and Jenny Sodder managed to escape with 4 of their children. But the other 5, Morris, Martha, Louie, Jenny, and Betty, are believed to be trapped upstairs. The fire department, delayed by a series of strange mishaps, arrives hours later to find nothing but smoldering ruins. The 5 children are declared dead, case closed. But that's where the real story begins. Because when the ashes cooled, a horrifying mystery emerged. There were no remains. It's not a single bone fragment, not a tooth, nothing to indicate that 5 children had perished in the blaze. Fire experts at the time and since have stated that even in an intensely hot fire, skeletal remains should have been left behind, especially since the house burned for less than an hour before collapsing. The Sodder parents refused to believe their children were dead. They started asking questions the authorities seemed eager to dismiss. Why did their phone lines appear to be cut before the fire started, preventing them from calling for help? Why did both of their trucks, which were working perfectly the day before, suddenly refuse to start, preventing George from using his ladders to reach the second-story windows? And what about the strange man who had been seen on their property just weeks before the fire? He had warned George that his house would go up in smoke and his children would be destroyed, all because George had made some outspoken anti-Mussolini remarks. Was it a threat? The mystery only deepened over the years. Jenny Sodder received anonymous, disturbing phone calls. Sometimes, she'd hear the sound of a clinking glass and laughter in the background. On one occasion, a woman's voice whispered the names of her missing children before abruptly hanging up. The family even heard a rumor that a local woman who had been on the coroner's jury later confessed that the box she helped bury, supposedly containing the children's remains, was actually just a box of beef liver. Then, in 1967, more than 20 years after the fire, a letter arrived in their mailbox. It had no return address. Inside was a photograph of a young man in his late 20s who bore a striking resemblance to their son Louis. On the back of the photo was a cryptic handwritten note. Louis Sodder, I love Brother Frankie, 90132. The Sodders hired a private investigator, but he vanished after taking their money, and the identity of the man in the photo was never confirmed. So what happened to the Sodder children? Is it a tragic accident? A freak fire with an unbelievable outcome? Or was it something far more sinister? A kidnapping orchestrated under the cover of a deliberately set fire, possibly as political retaliation. The Sodder parents maintained a billboard on the side of the highway for the rest of their lives, pleading for information. They died without ever knowing the truth. The official record calls it a tragic fire, but the missing bones, the cut phone lines, and the mysterious photographs suggest that sometimes the simplest explanation is not the right one. And sometimes a disappearance is far more terrifying than a death.